In any civil society, you have various mechanisms. Those mechanisms are meant to function at the optimal levels that are then meant to satisfy community needs. We are now faced with an issue where several of those particular mechanisms have become somewhat defunct. They've become reasonably ineffective. In a lot of instances, they're not helping society or community. And what that leads to is it creates a vulnerability in society where human beings then start seeing the vulnerability. We know in our societies that there are issues. We're aware of the problems that exist. They've become abundant and they haven't reduced. One of those issues is crime. What we're finding is that crime may be spiraling out of control in certain ways, but what's not happening is that the innovation and technology of the existing authorities isn't good enough to stymie or reverse that onslaught that we're faced with. As a result, civil society have now ganged together, or rather organized themselves, which they're allowed to do legally, and they've created groupings. These groupings then talk to one another, and that's called networking. And these networking structures have become very powerful and very effective in society. And these are very supportive to us in civil society, because we're facing the physical onslaught of those that are perpetrating the lawlessness. Unfortunately, it's quite evident that unless we network these relationships, we are not going to stop this spiral or this negative. Several years ago, there was a wave of crime that hit the communities in Gauteng. The apex of the issue was when mosques were invaded by armed robbers. I then called upon the community people and said to them, what is this? We need to find a solution. We need to get an end to this problem. And that brought a state of mind to me, saying to myself that, look, this is not about just one entity. This is about vulnerability. And it's about opportunistic criminals. And it's about organized crime. And how are we going to ensure that we keep these criminals away from society? How do we ensure that we highlight our issues? We're going to have to create an organization, bring about people, etc. So the entity, Civilian Crime Intelligence Network, CCIN, is a very powerful networking entity in this country. We now have relationships with, amongst others, the AfriForum entity. We have with several other entities which are respectable organizations and groupings. We are able to disseminate information from here to the rest of the world and back within 14 seconds. We have a reach of over 32 million people in a matter of seconds. There are those that are very respectable. They're registered, they're regulated, and they follow the processes. And to these ones, we must have a relationship with them. We must foster ties with them, because that's our first line of defense. The police are there. That's our second line of defense. Security companies are always standing off at a crime scene before the police can arrive. So one understands when we say first line of defense, it's this force that's out there of security companies that are going out there and that are actually the shield against crime when it comes to the wave that we are faced with. Having said that, is a security company the solution to our needs? Definitely not. We are taxpayers. We pay our money diligently. There's ample funds out there in order for them to actually enforce policing in the right way. Our police need to be empowered. If you look at relationships between civilians and policing, one must first understand their place in the box. Civilians are not the police. Civilians don't have the authority to do what the police are meant to do. Civilians don't have the resource to do what the police are meant to do. The function of policing must always be in the hands of police. And once one understands that particular competency or involvement, etc., you'll find that it's very easy to maneuver one's needs. It's important because if we don't assist the police, and if we don't guide them, and if we don't give them needs and issues and fears, how are they going to know what to do, where to do it? We can keep complaining. What does that resolve? Versus bringing the issue to the table. So bring the issue to the table, discuss it with the police, give it to them, work with them. The police are in any case short of resources, regardless of what anyone says. We don't have enough policemen. We don't have enough police vehicles. We don't have enough technology in the police. We should be leaders in technology in terms of the fight against crime. In fact, we are. As a network, we're very, very competent in terms of that. And we can lend support to our policing partners, which is what we do. Daar is nie tyd om hieroor te dink nie. Elke sekonde wat daar verbyloop, is iemand se lewe in gevaar. Ons moet nou optree. Nie môre nie, vandag.